This is the vivo X90 Pro Global version, the latest smartphone from Vivo's X series, which mainly focuses on the advancement of professional smartphone photography, and this time, the X90 Pro is packed with different features that will appeal to both casual and professional smartphone photographers. It not only has a huge 1-inch sensor inside, but it also has a lot of AI functions to take your photos to the next level. So, in this video, we will be taking a detailed look at the overall design, display, performance, camera system, battery life, as well as the overall user experience. So, let's get started. Before taking a closer look at the X90 Pro, let's begin with the unboxing experience. The packaging for the X90 Pro is very similar to the X80 Pro, except that we get a circular pattern on the X90 Pro. Opening it, we see the phone itself. We also get a Type-C to Type-C charging cable, a whopping 120-watt charging brick with a Type-C port as well, a SIM ejector, a user manual, and a transparent silicone phone case. Usually we start with the design and build quality, but this time I would like to start with the camera system, since this is the core of the X series. Starting with its specs, it has a 50-megapixel main camera with a massive 1-inch sensor for improved low-light photography. We also have a powerful 50-megapixel portrait camera with optical image stabilization, a normal 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera, a DTOF laser focusing system, as well as a 32-megapixel selfie camera that now also supports Zeiss-style portrait shots. Vivo does have a 64-megapixel telephoto camera and a 48-megapixel ultra-wide camera, but these two are only available on the X90 Pro Plus, and I'm not sure if that will be available in a global version. Moving on to image quality, let's compare it to the iPhone 13 Pro Max to see how the X90 Pro performs. Starting with the main cameras, we can see that during daytime conditions, both the X90 Pro and iPhone are very capable in terms of producing sharp images with good dynamic range and contrast, especially when we zoom in and take a look at the central sharpness. However, when you take a look at the corners, you'll realize that the X90 Pro still looks sharp and clear, while the iPhone starts to struggle with corner sharpness. Also, the X90 Pro has less digital noise in comparison to the iPhone, which makes the whole photo look cleaner. As for the ultra-wide cameras, they are actually pretty similar to each other. Looking at these sample shots, both the X90 Pro and the iPhone produce great ultra-wide photos, and the X90 Pro has less digital noise in the shadows, but it does sometimes suffer from chromatic aberrations. Moving on to the telephoto cameras, since they don't have the same focal length, this won't be a completely fair comparison, so just use this as a reference. As we can see, the telephoto on the iPhone looks extremely sharp, while the X90 Pro starts to fall behind. While both phones are very capable and close to each other in daytime conditions, when we move to nighttime photography, this is where the tables start to turn. Underneath the X90 Pro is Vivo's custom-made V2 imaging chip, which not only reduces noise and retains highlight information, but also reduces power consumption. At the same time, we still have the Zeiss logo at the back of the phone, meaning the X90 Pro still has the support of Zeiss T coating on its cameras. We know that one of the iPhone's biggest problems is a ghosting effect, so let's start with an extreme example. Looking at this shot, we see that while both phones struggle with ghosting effects, the extent is noticeably less on the X90 Pro, thanks to the special coating. Another difference between the iPhone and the X90 Pro is the way they handle highlight information. As we can see, while there is a sort of glowing effect around the light sources on the iPhone, the X90 Pro chooses to compress and reduce those glowing effects around the light sources to make the image look cleaner. Also, the X90 Pro retains more highlight information in comparison to the iPhone. In this shot, we can see that the coffee sign is completely blown out on the iPhone, but the X90 Pro still retains that information. As for nighttime videos, it is the same. As we can see, while both videos look very clean, we can see that the shop interiors are completely blown out on the iPhone, while the X90 Pro manages to preserve those highlights. Other than comparing image quality, the X90 Pro also packs some new interesting features that are worth checking out. First of all, there is Zeiss Natural Color 2.0. When people describe the color of an iPhone photo, they usually say that the colors look natural and resemble the actual colors, while Android phones tend to tweak the colors a little bit to make the image look better. Now, the X90 Pro has Zeiss Natural Color 2.0, which also allows you to take photos as they are, instead of letting the phone tweak your photos. If you prefer the colors to be adjusted by your phone, then you can just turn this mode off. Here's some before and after comparisons, and to my eyes, I think the Zeiss Natural Color 2.0 really does resemble the actual colors in the scene, so I'll use it if I want to make sure the colors are the same as in the real world. Another new feature would be the Sport mode, which basically tells the X90 Pro to take photos with a faster shutter speed. I think this is a great feature because some phones do not allow you to adjust the shutter speed, or even if they do allow you, the process is just not that intuitive. So Vivo just throws in a new sports mode, and I guess that's one solution. Basically, when you turn on sports mode and start taking pictures of fast-moving subjects, you can see that the higher shutter speed simply freezes the moment. If you take photos of fast-moving subjects in just the normal mode, then you will likely get a blurry photo because of the fast motion. I think this is a useful feature, especially during street photography. And by the way, while this mode works at nighttime as well, I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to get more digital noise from the higher shutter speed unless you need to capture something fast during nighttime. There are also some cool AI nighttime features for you to play around with. First of all is the handheld astro effect, which allows you to take a photo of the night sky without a tripod, and the phone will then do some AI calculations to give you a good-looking night sky photo, which is a nice feature to have. Another feature is called the super moon effect, which basically uses AI to enlarge the moon in your photo and make it look better. I think these features are pretty fun and can make your social media posts stand out a little bit more, but I don't think you can do astrophotography with just this phone. You still need professional equipment for that. Now, let's move on to the rest of the specs. Taking a look at the build quality, the X90 Pro has a sleek and premium design to it, and I quite enjoy its top-notch build quality, especially with the metal frames and the vegan leather at the back, which makes the phone feel very solid and premium in the hand, bringing the overall build quality to the next level. I believe Vivo calls it Legendary Black. When holding it, it feels more like holding a premium accessory rather than a smartphone, and you don't need to worry about leaving fingerprints on the back. As for the weight and thickness, the X90 Pro is 9.34 millimeters thick and weighs around 214.85 grams. While the phone is not the thinnest or lightest, the increase in weight and thickness does correspond perfectly to the premium build quality. As for the design, I would say the phone is very recognizable from a distance. Personally, I quite enjoy the back design of the phone, and I think it looks much better than the X80 Pro. Unlike the previous X-series smartphones that have a rectangular camera module at the back, the X90 Pro simply throws away the previous design and decides to go with a circular camera module design. Below the triple camera module, we see a division line that says Extreme Imagination, and Vivo claims that the metaphor behind this design is to mimic the sun rising from the horizon. Yeah, I guess that works. Also, we get the iconic blue Zeiss logo beside it. As for the protrusion, well, I guess Vivo just simply gave up. I believe this is one of the largest camera protrusions from a Vivo smartphone. However, surprisingly, the phone does not really wobble on the desk. More importantly, you no longer need to use your pinky finger to support the weight of the phone when using the phone with only one hand. Now you can just rest your index finger on the protrusion for support, and you can use the phone with one hand just fine. Moving to the front display, we see a beautiful 6.78-inch 3D curved AMOLED screen with a refresh rate of 60 or 120 Hz. The display is not only bright and vibrant thanks to its 10-bit color depth, but also supports DCI P3 color space that reproduces accurate colors. When viewing the display outside on a sunny day, you can still see content on the screen clearly. Also, as for the punch hole design, it is the same across all recent X-series phones. Put simply, it is an amazing display to look at, especially when you are consuming high-quality media. While the display is fantastic, it does not support an adaptive refresh rate, unlike other flagship phones. The phone can drop from 120 Hz to 60 Hz when you are viewing something stationary to save battery, but it is no match against phones with LTPO technology that can smoothly change the refresh rate from 1 to 120 Hz. As you can see, it usually waits a couple seconds before turning down the refresh rate to 60 Hz. Also, in some applications, the phone will lock in at 60 Hz. So if you want the smoothest experience possible, then remember to deselect auto refresh rates. Talking about performance, the X90 Pro is powered by a MediaTek Dimensity 9200, which is a 4nm processor and comes with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of ROM. While the phone doesn't have the highest specs in terms of performance, it can handle daily tasks and casual games just fine. If you do want to play some intense games such as Genshin Impact, then turning down some of the settings will help, although you don't really need to turn them down too much. As for taking photos and videos, my experience is that the chip inside can handle long periods of 4K video recording just fine. However, since it's still winter in Shanghai, I'm not yet sure how the phone will handle hot summer days. While taking photos and recording videos do consume a ton of battery, the X90 Pro supports flash charge, enabling it to be recharged quickly. Despite its big 4870 mAh battery inside, the phone can be fully charged in 29 minutes. More importantly, the phone can be recharged to 50% in only 8 minutes and 10 seconds, which is very impressive. And I love how Vivo was so specific with its calculation of seconds. The reason is that the X90 Pro supports 120-watt wired flash charge, which is higher than most phones out there. It also supports 50-watt wireless charging, so I won't worry about the battery life too much, as long as there are power outlets available, and this is a great feature for people who are always on the go. Overall, I think the X90 Pro is a great phone for people who do care about smartphone photography to some extent. If you just want the best phone for smartphone photography from Vivo, then you will need to find a way to get your hands on the X90 Pro Plus. In conclusion, the X90 Pro is a great smartphone that offers a premium design, a good user experience, as well as a fantastic camera system. If you want a pro-level smartphone to record and document your daily life, and occasionally do some professional photography, then the X90 Pro won't let you down. As for the X90 Pro Plus, I just hope it will have a global version as well, because that 4-camera system could be game-changing for smartphone photography. So, what do you think of the X90 Pro? Let me know in the comments down below. For tech and gadgets, we got you covered, and see you next time.